Milwaukee County Zoo starts giving COVID-19 vaccines to these animals. The Milwaukee County Zoo started administering COVID-19 vaccines to some of its animals Monday and is aiming to vaccinate dozens more throughout the week. The zoo currently plans to initially dose 50 animals, which will include primates, such as gorillas and apes, as well as big cats, hyenas and river otters, according to Dr. Pamela Govett, the zoo's senior staff veterinarian. Here's what to know from how the animals were selected to how the vaccine will be administered to them. The animals were chosen based on the risk that they have of naturally contracting COVID-19, Govett said. In humans, the COVID-19 spike protein attaches to a blood pressure regulating protein, which causes them to get infected, she explained. Those proteins are very similar in big cats, in river otters and primates, she said. They share that very closely with us. To stay up to date with latest top stories, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the button above this video. The animals that don't share that as closely are less at risk and less likely to get infected, she said. When the zoo receives additional doses of the vaccine, it will roll them out on a risk basis as well. The animals are receiving an experimental COVID-19 vaccine made by Zoetis, a global animal health company, and specifically for animals, Govett said. The vaccines were donated to the zoo. The vaccines are stored in a regular refrigerator. When the medicine is taken out of the fridge, it will be labeled with the date and time. If it's not used within 24 hours, it has to be thrown out, Govett said. The animals have been trained to go to the front of their enclosures, Govett said. When it's time for them to receive an injection, their trainer will direct them to come toward them and stay. It's much less stressful for them to just stay in their own environments where they feel comfortable with the keepers, she said. Then a veterinary tech or nurse, dressed in personal protective equipment, including a mask and gloves, will administer the vaccine. The animal will receive a 1 milliliter dose intramuscularly. Most of the animals will get the vaccine in their gluteal muscle, which is their rear end, hip, or thigh area. Some, however, will present a shoulder, Govett said. In 3 weeks, the animals will receive their second doses. Govett anticipates that having all of the selected animals comply will be the biggest challenge. Sometime they may be off and just not feel like training that day, she said. Then you have to move on to the next. The zoo has a contingency list to avoid wasting doses. If one animal does not work with the keeper that day, we will just move on to the next on the list and try to reapproach them the following day, Govett said. She met with the keepers ahead of time to go over their schedules to avoid assigning their areas on days when they're not at the zoo. Unlike humans, the animals don't need to be of a certain age to be vaccinated, Govett said. For example, the zoo will be vaccinating a 5-year-old up to a 50-year-old bonobo. However, like in humans, older animals tend to be more susceptible to the virus, she said. Govett said in her research, zoos nationwide have seen minimal side effects. The only one she said she has heard of was one cat being tired and not wanting to eat dinner following the injection. But the animal was fine the next morning, she said. Primates may need an additional booster in 6 to 8 months, Govett said. Big cats have very good titers, which is antibody production, so they might not need a booster. So far we've been fortunate, and no animals at the Milwaukee County Zoo have become infected with COVID, Govett said in an email. The zoo tests animals that show clinical signs of COVID by sending samples to the Wisconsin Veterinary Diagnostic Lab in Madison, she said. Before Govett became the zoo's senior staff veterinarian in January 2020, she worked as a vet or relief vet at more than 10 institutions, including Disney's Animal Kingdom, the Denver Zoo, Zoo Miami, the Shedd Aquarium, the Lincoln Park Zoo and the Brookfield Zoo, among others. She earned her veterinarian degree at the University of Florida, had an internship at the University of Georgia, and did a residency in zoo and aquatic animal medicine at North Carolina State University.